Welcome back everyone to several huge breaking cruise news. Norwegian Cruise Lines announces stunning new features on board its newest cruise ship. More cruise lines are now leaving China and we'll tell you why. MSC makes a huge environmental pledge and cruise lines cancel their 2021 Australian cruising season. All of this and more in today's episode of Beyond the Headlines Cruise News. We start off with some new information on Norwegian's newest cruise ship, the Norwegian Prima, which will set sail next summer. The ship will now feature a gigantic 3-story racetrack called the Prima Speedway. Passengers will be able to race each other in the longest and fastest state-of-the-art go-kart facility at sea, which will take up quite a bit of the ship's upper deck space. Additionally, the Prima will now also have 3 10-story tall dry slides off the side of the ship. On one side of the ship you can find a drop, the first free-fall dry slide at sea, and on the other side you can try out the Rush, dueling slides where you can race your friends. Now one thing you might have immediately realized is that these slides actually pass through some passengers' balconies. Now we still don't know what that will mean for those passengers. Norwegian might just close off those balconies and make them obstructed ocean view cabins, but I guess we'll have to wait and see for more information from Norwegian on this. Next, a very interesting change is in the ship's main theater. The 3-story theater can fully transform into a Las Vegas-style nightclub with retractable seats. Overall, some very unique additions, and we can't wait to explore the ship more with you in the future. Next up, MSC Cruises pledges to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The company has signed the Getting to Zero Coalition's pledge, in which they commit to launching zero-emission cruise ships by 2030 and going completely carbon neutral by 2050, which are very ambitious goals for the company. Additionally, the cruising sector as a whole is now moving towards more sustainable energy sources, and many of the new ships setting sail in 2022 will feature liquefied natural gas, LNG, one of the cleanest fossil fuels available. Next, more cruise lines announced a partial departure from the Chinese market. Just last week, we talked about Royal Caribbean changing the deployment of the largest cruise ship to be, the Wonder of the Seas, from China to Europe and the Caribbean. This week, Costa Cruises follows suit, with the Costa Firenze and Costa Toscana, 2 ships specifically built for the Chinese market, now moving to Europe and the Caribbean instead. The reason? The Chinese Communist Party is making it clear that they will only let state-owned cruise lines sail during the pandemic. Larger international companies are left out. Fearing more restrictions in the future, most cruise lines are now rethinking or even putting on hold the China expansion strategy. Lastly, Carnival-owned brands cancelled the 2021 Australian cruising season until mid-January 2022. P&O Cruises and Princess Cruises are both cancelling the remaining cruises out of Australia and New Zealand, given the quote, uncertainty around the return to cruising in the continent, as Australia is one of the few countries worldwide where cruises are still banned 22 months into the pandemic. That's it for today's Beyond the Headlines cruise news. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing for more cruising news and weekly cruising content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.